that happens, ma'am. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
yeah, we are live, ma'am. So,
Yeah.
uh, I want to start with my favorite actor, Rajinikanth's quote, Leta vandalo, latesta vandatom, ma'am. Uh,
Um,
so, we had, good evening, everybody. We had a very small technical glitch. I think we managed to solve that. And we are here live, and good evening, all. And we are so happy to be here again on a program with All Ladies League Manufacturing Sector, South India. And we are too excited to launch this particular, program or an initiative, if you want to call it, which is called as the Books and All. You know, so personally speaking, I am a book lover. I love to read, and what I am today, to a large extent, is because of the books that I've read right from a young age. They have motivated me, they have inspired me, and they always push me every mile as I go forward. So in that category, we thought, books are a great platform for people to learn from. And we thought women in manufacturing, or women or men from any sector, they need certain books to inspire them. And in that line of books, we thought we'll introduce a very nice book written by a woman author. Um, I'm very sorry to say woman author, an author who has achieved a great deal in her own accord. And the discussion leader is yet another great lady whom I've known for more than 2 decades now, and who has definitely inspired me along the line of my career. And so the book that we are going to be discussing today is the great author Sheryl Sandberg's Lean In. You know, and Lean created a lot of good vibes when the book was launched and published. And here we are to discuss a lot of good things about that book. And I have none other than Dr. Vasanthi Ranganathan, who is our discussion leader for today, who will take us through Lean, the book. And to just tell a few words about Dr. Vasanthi, there are lots to be shared about Madam, but then due to paucity of time, I'm going to say a very few achievements of hers today. So, if I have to introduce Madam, Madam has been a career woman since 1975, starting off as the only lady professor at Chayar Government College in 1975, and currently she is a resource head for Lakeview Learning and Development Center, which is in our own Number Chennai, Chembarambakam, outskirts of Number Chennai, Chembarambakam. And Madam, I have visited Lakeview several times, and she has a wow book of collection. And Madam definitely feels that that's going to the kind of books that she's got is going to be suitable for the current education policy, the renewed education policy, given by our sweet Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi, and which is also going to be suitable for the new normal. Madam is educated in India and the United States. She holds degrees in English, management, and career counseling, as well as, she's traveled both in India and abroad. She created this company. She also was a great entrepreneur. She created this company, Flickr to Flare Consultants, and she launched. And Madam has told me several times that she takes great pride in launching trainers, and she has launched a lot of trainers across India. So, with that small introduction, and to be very, she is also a grandmother, and recently she got promoted as a great grandmother. Madam, congratulations on your achievements, and we request you to start the program. But before that, ma'am, I just happened to bump into this beautiful concept from a Japanese, literature. They call it as tea sandoku. Okay, there's a concept in Japan. It's called as tea sandoku. The tea sandoku means leaving a book unread after buying it to the Swedish for the road-like reflection of the moon, over the ocean to the Italian for being moved to tears by a story. So they say that There are a number of books which we buy for the sake of owning it, but we leave it in the bookshelf without, reading it. That concept is called T Sandoku. So today we want our viewers to read all the books that they are buying. And even if they have not bought some books, we are here to help them through books and all. So over to you, Vasanthi ma'am, and it's all yours. Thank you, Vasanthi
Thank
ma'am.
you,
Once
Dr. Rajani. Thank you. That was a real long introduction. I'm very happy to be here with all of you who have chosen a career and to make a mark in the Rotary world. Today, um, Jennifer Jones of R.C. Windsor, Roseland, Ontario, Canada. Uh, about 115 years old.
live.
Every time we women create records by breaking the glass ceiling, they say, but Sandberg says, lean in to discuss this beautifully. Her writing hits you as an answer to some questions we have. I was happy she had similar thoughts because she's a woman just like you and me. There is all the reason to read and access the many stories across the world for you. Find the answers and align yourself to the thinking. This is true in my neighborhood also, and it is true all over the world. Can we start the slides?
Yes, ma'am, please. Priyanka, can you share
Okay.
the PPT?
Every woman, yeah, every woman has known the traditional rituals of coming of age, getting engaged, getting married, and living happily ever after. Having a baby, widowed, raising a child as a single parent. Do we know to manage a career and a home is a constant question. Do we feel that a woman can manage both at the same time? Can we start the for several of the questions that we have? When I entered the world of work in 1975, we had only men who were used to mother, sister, daughter, and not to a colleague. So there were no toilets for women. I came back from the United States in 1991 and went on to consult for a company. There also, we did not have toilets for women. Toilets are also in question even today. A career brings you out of home, helps you to stand up for yourself, and I'm very happy that the All Ladies League has launched books and all because books are accessible and available for all of us. And beginning with Sandberg's linen is great. Can we see the slides? Slides?
Yes, ma'am. She's coming.
Okay, yeah. Sandberg talks about a time 6 months into her job when Zuckerberg, her boss, and she were sitting together. And then he said, for men, career, money are all positively related. But for a woman, a career and money are negatively related. When you grow up the ladder, it doesn't appear as if competency was the priority and the kind of maneuvering a woman has done actually has taken up the ladder. If this was a lesson that Sandberg had to learn from Zuckerberg 6 months after she took over Facebook, You and I also have to definitely learn this. The kind of image we have about ourselves in coming up the ladder, in taking on a career, in making tons of money, do we feel guilty? Is a very, very important question that we need to ask ourselves. And also, when a woman is at home, she's happy to be the homemaker and the housewife. But society doesn't give the same regard to men who are at home or even sharing the home duties at home along with his homemaker. So you must understand that when woman is making a career, the men have also to bear the kind of remarks that society will make. I remember in 1983, I left two children behind. They were both below age 7. And I went abroad for studies, leaving a husband also in India. And people were telling my husband, your wife will run away with another man. And my children were being told by the entire society that the mother was not available. So children grow up with the image that mother is not available. So the man and the family have to be very strong when a woman has to take up a career, simply because the societal rungs, the societal rituals, rites do not necessarily encourage a woman. Next slide. Now, as we keep looking at people around us, look at all the women that we see. You don't need to necessarily think of great women. Think of all the women around you. Can we go to the next slide? In the next slide, you'll see the poem, My Last Duchess. This is why I ask you to read. My Last Duchess is a small sonnet. And here there is a guy who's coming in and offering a bride from a very big dukedom to the duke who recently lost his wife. And the duke says, I said, and all smiles stopped altogether. His problem was that his wife, the Duchess, smiled at everybody just like she smiled at him. So women have always been suspected. And if you enter a workforce and if you're the only woman, what kind of suspicions do you attract from either your life partner or from your colleagues, with all the posh kinds of things coming in, and with women working in shifts and so on and so forth? You must keep in mind the society is not yet ready to accept women as leaders. Women are also not yet ready to accept themselves, and Sandberg makes lovely remarks on this. She says, don't talk about I, talk about we. Connect yourself to larger spaces and learn. How many of us have the time to go into larger spaces unless we pick up a book and read the stories and biographies and autobiographies of great women who have made it all their life? Or even the WhatsApp messages or the letters that people write about their mother, wife. Just pick up the reading habit. It's beautiful. Whenever a woman comes into a new role, they start thinking, do I have the skills for the new role? Can I actually make it? Because self-esteem is rather low. And women, Sandberg says, hide their emotions in the workplace and stop trying to come across as a woman, but they want to be stereotypically male. I'm asking you, how many Taj Mahal do you have in the world? How many Thanjai Kovil do you have in the world? You have only one. And you have only one Vasanthi Ranganathan in the whole world. Vasanthi Ranganathan, as a woman, will explore herself and try to model herself based on her passion and on her skills, because Vasanthi Ranganathan doesn't want to be like a man. I have great strengths as a woman, and that is what I want to leverage. I'm sure each one of you who has come into the world have exceptional skills and strengths which are peculiar to you, and you will leverage that in your careers and at your home and be successful in both, happily trying to rope in your life partner and the society to partner with you. And that is how the formula that Sandberg gives us. I strike it off. Start with we. Next slide. Many women, when they go up the ladder, feel very undeserving and unworthy and guilty. They think coming up the ladder is a mistake. They keep apologizing to their children, to the husband, and to the family. Nothing wrong with the woman or the man. See, when a woman shows up in a, let us say, a wedding program or some kind of a ritual in the family, she is very proudly saying, my husband is at his workplace, very busy, he cannot come. But when a guy shows up in a ritual without the wife, people laugh at him. The woman has to apologize, saying, Ayo, I cannot leave my workplace and come. That is why I had to go. I'm so sorry. As long as you're saying sorry because you are who you are, very difficult to come up in your career. Therefore, your self-esteem becomes extremely important. Remember, when you have self-esteem, it doesn't mean you have to put the man down. A lot of women who are coming out with this equality and equity kinds of things start off by putting men down. I'm not sure that is necessary because I grew up in the 70s when women were just getting the so-called liberated woman and they were trying to put the man down. I always went with our Ardhanarishwar concept in India, where man and woman, or the yin-yang philosophy of the Chinese, make sure that together you can engineer a whole lot of things. Next slide. Now, don't think of a career as something that always takes you up the ladder. As a woman, we are all multi-skilled. All of us uniformly, whether we are educated, whether we are the chief manager or the operator or even the uneducated woman who's selling something on the street. We are street smart. We can manage a home. We can manage finances. So therefore, career is like a jungle gym. It doesn't matter where you are. Sandberg says, her book is beautiful. It talks about a whole lot of things that you and I can relate to very well, even if you're sitting far, far away, because Sheryl is a woman, and so am I, and so are you. And she is having the same battles like you and I are trying to manage even today. She says, if you were ever offered a seat on a rocket ship, will you question which ship, which seat? You simply get on board and get going because it's so important to be a part of this big, big, big career life. My dear ladies, it doesn't matter where you are in that jungle gym of a career, but just be there, get on board. Let's go to the next slide. Overwhelming message that Sandberg talks about, which I dearly love, is mothering and working. Even today, my son and my daughter says, Mom, were you a mother? Because they are comparing me to all the lovely women who will carry the tiffin carrier and come to the school to feed their children, whereas my children had no mother coming to the school with a tiffin carrier. And remember, I'm talking about 70s. And the overwhelming message is that Sandberg says, mothering and working are both possible. Start questioning this for yourself. Stop feeling guilty. Now let's look at all the women who have raised the children. There have been many, many, many single parents. Many flower sellers on the street. Many women who have been cowherds, who have cooked at home, who have run a mess, who have looked after their children and family regardless of whether the man was there or not. Therefore, my dear uh, women who have come into the manufacturing sector for your career, remember, you can manage a home without a man. Learn to manage a career with men. Help the men at home manage the home without you. You know where the problem is? Sandberg again says this very beautifully. Let's go to the next slide. Sandberg says women want to say that they are the best in all the household jobs. Women want to think if I don't cook, my husband cannot eat. If I'm not there, my children cannot eat. If I don't get home on time, my husband will run off with another woman. And we always believe that we should be like a damsel in distress and somebody else should come and rescue you. If you want to always play the woman who is the all important woman at home, if you're not willing to let go of the many responsibilities that you have always held at home, how do you expect the men at home to support you? Just let go of the various profiles that you owned so much. You keep saying, if I don't go home on time, my children will have nothing to eat. Remember, my daughter at 11 arrived in the United States in the middle of an afternoon when I had a class. I was holding a scholarship. If I didn't get enough grades, my scholarship will go. It's a merit scholarship. It was not given to me because I was a woman. It was not given to me based on my socioeconomic status. It was given to me based on my merit, my ability to compete with all the men from all over India. And my daughter at 11 believed that she can handle a flight, an aircraft journey of many long hours, arrive and sit at home and wait for the mother to come back. My dear young ladies, raise your children to believe that mother has an equal right to form a career of her own if that is her passion. Get out of the shell that you alone can be the mother. Dad can also be a good mother, like you can be a good dad. Can we go to the next slide? I think that is a beautiful message that Sandberg has for us in that particular book. Now, husbands, poor husbands. I think of the movie Suryaganti, in which Muthuraman and Jayalalitha were playing a role, and this poor man is harassed because the wife earns more. You have that Doubtfire movie, which came into India as Avai Shanmugi, with Kamala Hassan starring as the husband who has to really satisfy not only the society, but his wife, his life partner, who grew up in the society that men have always to bring the money home for making a nice family. How can we get rid of all these kinds of questions? Do I have answers? Do you have answers? I don't know. But I'm sure reading can give us a whole load of answers. Can we go to the next slide? Start reading. I have ever so many books, and every one of my books I read. I have so many books that you can refer to. I'm telling you, the new policy, I have tons of books that will help you make outcome-based learning, outcome-based assessments, and build a profile of the young student, whatever the subject they learn. You must pick up the skill of skimming through a book, quickly running through and understanding if you do not have the time to look it over, or just to skim so that you can decide on buying the book. You must do scanning. You must do I think of those robos where I remember again Rajinikanth's movie, which Rajini started off with, where he's able to look at something and scan the entire thing into his brain. Do that, and you'll be able to do that provided you start reading as a habit. Fast reading, quickly run through the book. What kind of books? Read for fun. I used to read a lot of Chandilian books. I used to wait for that weekly to come in so that I can go running and pick up that book because the descriptors were fabulous. Read for storyline, read for cooking, read for working. Your language skills will improve. Where to access these books? You can go on and access in your handbook, in your Kindle, in the libraries. I still love hard copies of books. I like to hold them, touch them, feel them, and I feel that I'm touching that author, the novelist, even as I read. I can go into the feelings of every book that I touch. I love that touch. Maybe because I'm an old woman who has lived through the age when we didn't have computers. I'm comfortable with books. But remember, even today, they are saying that being long time on a computer is not really good. Even with all these online learning things that are coming in for the children, I suggest give them some books which they can touch and feel. Next slide. Now, here is a little poem that I thought I would like to share with you in conclusion. Find time for things that matter to you, and reading matters. It has a whole lot of stories. It has lovely things you can relate to. Those days when I sat in the theater watching a woman cry, you know what I thought? Tears came down my eyes all the time. And I had such wet hankies and towels and my sari. And sari can come in and play a whole lot of roles for many things because I was able to connect with the screen. Here is a small poem. It's called Cats in the Cradle by Harry Chapin. And I want to leave this message with you. Find time in your life, be it career or home, for things that matter. You are going to live with yourself for many, many years to come, long after the children will leave you. Sometimes even after the husband leaves you, even after friends leave you, books stay with you. My child just arrived the other day. He came to the world in the usual way, but there were planes to catch and bills to pay. He learned to walk while I was away, and he was talking before I knew it. And as he grew, he said, I'm gonna be like you, Dad. You know, I'm gonna be like you. I think of my little son. He's now too old and too big, much bigger than me in terms of his very enlightened kind of bliss. He used to write me about 5-page letters. I still have those letters. I still write him letters because, and that is the way we connect. Can we go to the next slide? Be in touch with your children, your husband, your colleagues, your friends. And then you have said it all. Next slide. The last slide. I've long since retired. My son's moved away. I called him up just the other day. I said, I'd like to see you if you don't mind. He said, I'd love to, Dad, if I could find the time. You see, my new job's a hassle and the kids have the flu. But it's sure nice talking to you, Dad. Career or home, maybe. I do not want you, any one of you, to have regrets. Live every day. Live with books because they stay with you the longest. Live with the books in your memory. Live with the stories that you hear because sometimes I cannot share all my stories because there's nobody to listen. But when I read and I relate the plentiful women that I see in the novels, in the biographies, in the successful stories of these career women, then I know there is one other person. There are millions of other persons who are just like me, hold my head high, thinking that I've had a lovely family and a lovely career. For every man, they will always say, there is a woman behind him. My dear friends, for every woman, there should be a man There should be society, and there should be millions and millions of books from whom you have read, so you can have the guts to be who you are, the special woman, and not just be like any other man. You are the special you, just like Dr. Rajani. You are the special you. Each one of us is a single woman who can make it. All others will be all around us. Thank you very much for waiting patiently. Your questions, your thoughts, our responses to best suit our individual styles and needs of making a career and making a dream home for each one of us. The last slide. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am, for beautiful. What do I say? uh, you have really given us. 1 second. I think the phone is. Thank you for the great insight you have given about books and generally about reading. So it is has been a real honor to listen to those things. But ma'am, when you look at Sheryl Sandberg's books and the first book that she's written, uh, which is Lenin, she talks about a few important things. Women, that is children, the girl children in school versus children, the grown-up girls in workplace. What's your take on that, ma'am? Ma'am? I think Dr. Vasanthi has disconnected. I think there's a technical glitch that's come again once. Anyway, things happen. But just to take you all through the Sheryl Sandberg book, I think ma'am is coming back.
Mhm.
Okay, welcome
I'm
back,
back. I'm
ma'am.
back. 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 बाल में दुखते चलो.
I think there's an echo, right, Sri?
I can hear you now.
Yeah. I was talking about okay. I was just talking about girls in school versus women in workplace, ma'am. Because when you look at Cheryl's book, I think she
Yeah.
talks about it and she goes over that point very much. So that
Yes.
was one of the things that she discusses. So, what's your take on girls in school versus women in workplace? And if you look at the board exam results, women always the girls always overtake the boys in terms of percentage
Yes.
of pass or the percentage that they score overall. There's always an overtaking by the
Yeah.
girls, but the story is completely,
Change.
differently written in the workplace.
Yeah.
Why do you think this happens? And yeah.
Sheryl Sandberg talks about women hold themselves back and are held back. That's a beautiful term.
Mhm.
If you looked at psychology, women are much more intelligent as they grow up in the early years. And they are
Mhm.
precocious, they say. So, learning, studying, getting scores become very important for them, and they are able to do it. Later on, maybe it is their own psychological thinking process, or maybe they do not have enough societal support, they hold themselves back. When a man holds you back, you are always trying to change the man, and that's very difficult. Supposing Sandberg says this, a woman were to start looking at, why am I holding myself back? What are the kinds of things I'm doing to hold myself back, and reorganize, then maybe you can get into some likeness of who you were as a little girl going to school. Did I answer the question? Hello?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Pretty much. Yes, ma'am. Pretty much. You did answer my
Okay.
question. So you're telling me that in school the holding back doesn't happen. Is that what your point is?
No, no, no.
In when they
Even
come
in
out and
school,
when they
they hold
start
themselves
working,
back.
do you think? Mhm.
Getting marks
Okay. So
is just a
okay.
part of it.
So
I, can I just add one more sentence? In the United States, when
sure,
I
ma'am.
had to do my internships, many girls became pregnant by the time they were in class 8 or 9. When we were, and I was working in a culture which is very different from our culture. Simply because not that girls who are 13 and 14 do not get pregnant in our country, except it is not so obvious like it is there in the United States, and no counseling is offered. I always tell these girls, these kinds of interactions, physical interactions, will leave you that will hold you back from a career. So as a girl grows up, she may be scoring, but remember that is only the minimal number of girls, not all the girls. Because you will again see that in a home where there is a boy and a girl, if there is only a small amount of money, the boy gets the education, the girl does not get the education.
Sure. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Makes a lot of sense. So there's another point to this, ma'am. Sheryl Sandberg also highlights on the concept of, likability, and likability versus, she talks about likability versus success. Success.
Yeah.
I mean, what does she highlight in that concept? Why does she have to talk about success versus likability? Does she
It's
say
a,
that
it's a,
the more likable
yeah.
you are, the more successful you are, or the
Now,
less likable you are, the more successful you are?
Rajni, you are somebody,
Both happens actually. Both
yeah,
happens actually, ma'am. Because yeah,
you are somebody who has always held
because I have
top-notch positions.
personally experienced.
Are you likable
Mm,
all the time?
don't think so, ma'am. I don't think so, especially
Yeah,
among, especially amongst a few women, a few men, I would say, not
exactly.
women,
Yeah.
but a lot of
Also
men
women.
who are at par. At some women,
Mm,
more in
mm,
my case, it was more of men than women
mm.
because I have witnessed it and I've experienced it, and I've told you some of those stories as well. The thing
Yes.
is, because I mean, I may come across as somebody who's like quite dominating, which they
Mm,
will not like. And I have a way
exactly.
to put my point across. And I'm extremely, I may come across as a very formidable person. I don't
Yeah.
know. I may come across, so it may hurt that guy. So I've
Mm,
had a lot of experiences where the men did not like me, and some of them still don't like me. And
true.
I'm not me. I mean, I don't worry about those things. I continue to do my work,
Mm,
but a lot of women, I mean, this is my take, ma'am, purely my take,
yeah.
because I feel, when you are not liked, you want to
Mm,
prove yourself and you want to be more successful.
mm.
Ah, and I've seen a lot of women doing that as well. I mean, even I've
Mm,
done that, and I continue to do
mm,
that in some cases.
mm.
Very rarely do you get supported by men. So,
Yeah.
what is your view,
I feel that you're a very different kind of a woman who can live with not being liked.
ma'am?
Now, let us look at the traditional woman. In any marriage, including the Western countries, the woman goes into the man's home and she is expected to form ties and become liked by everybody. And if you watched any of these serials, I think that's a curse. Please don't watch, read good books.
Oh,
When you
no,
watch all these serials, you have all the women in the home conspiring against another woman in the home.
correct.
So, if a woman is success, and women are trained to be liked, if you look at a home, a woman may cook something because husband likes, because daughter likes, because son likes. I have always been a woman who will make and eat what I like. Maybe I'll make what others like, but I'm not a great cook. However, I thought I had a life of my own, a thought of my own, and a taste of my own. How many women can say that? So, if you want to enter somewhere and then transform yourself to be likable, and if you carry that particular trait into the workplace, because Zuckerberg, when he talks to Sheryl, says, uh, Sheryl, if you want to be liked at all times, then it is very difficult to be successful. So I think if that is a trait a woman normally has, or natural, I won't say naturally has, because then it is inborn. I don't believe so. I think it is
Mhm.
a societal input and we should break it off. If I have to be enforcing discipline, I will. If you don't like me, sorry. This is my role as the chief operating officer, and I have to say this to you because
Yeah,
that is my job. Personally, you and I could be friends, but at the workplace, this is exactly the process that has to be followed because we have to ensure quality and deliver, right?
yeah, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
The other very interesting point she comes out is, I have read the book once or twice.
Hmm.
I really liked this point, and I thought I should talk about it during this books and all. Is she
Yeah.
says, think personally and act
Mm.
communally.
Correct.
You know, think personally and act communally. And she herself says that, probably there is another concept called think locally, act globally. But
Mm.
she slightly rephrased it, and she said that think personally but act communally. So I thought, it's a point to uh, mull over a little bit, and maybe
True.
we'll have some eureka moments at that. We'll never know.
I'm sure you have put across some ideas to your male colleagues and pushed it through. Do you have an experience to share, Rajni? Then I will also share one. When everybody else was a man and I had to say certain things. And I didn't feel like a woman. I just felt my role.
Hmm.
That Sandberg particularly says, get out of that I when you're acting and act like we. But when you think like I. Am I
Yeah.
making sense? Yeah.
Yes, very much, ma'am. In fact, when you talk about my own personal experience,
Mm-hmm.
like 12 year, I would say in 2006, when we first traveled to Bangkok for a
Mm,
conference when I was at TVS Logistics.
mm,
We went on a Air India, Indian Airlines, I think, Indian Airlines flight to Bangkok. There were
yeah.
100 male colleagues who came from TVS and TVS group of companies, and I was the
Mm-hmm.
only female who traveled with them,
Mm-hmm.
for a week's conference in Bangkok. And I was the
Mm-hmm.
only, of course, definitely that will happen because I was the only female presenter in that conference. This was, I'm
Okay.
talking about 15 years ago when I was working for TVS Logistics. But
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what I was trying to tell you was, uh, I don't see it as a gender difference or anything like that. I don't see a man as a man or a woman as a woman. I talk to them as my colleague. I talk to them as my colleague. If I have to get a work done out of somebody, if it's a man or a woman, my approach would be the same thing. Probably, I mean, ma'am, to be very fair to a lot of men who have supported me in my growth and development in organizations, you know,
Yeah.
I've had a lot of good men supporting me in my growth and development. But
True.
when we put across a point to them, when they listen to us, they say, okay, this is a woman, and she's trying to tell me something, because we have a fairly good communication ability. We'll stand up
True.
and speak, and we will see to it that we are heard. we
Mm.
are we are not simple people also, right? We will definitely see to that we are heard. So when we
True.
stand up and speak, they don't like it.
True.
They see
True.
you as a woman.
True.
So I think I had problems when I saw them as a colleague and they saw me as a woman.
True. 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 You're absolutely right. Look at all the WhatsApp messages. They always say, uh, uh, mother and wife, two dreaded objects in every man's life. Why am I saying objects? Because you can throw them away, but you have to deal with them every day, every minute of their life. So when men come into the workplace, they see women bossing over them like the mother or the wife or even the sister sometimes. Therefore, for them to accept a woman as a colleague becomes a little bit more difficult. Now let us look at the woman. She is also mothering her colleague. Did you eat? How many wives you have? How many children? What time did you go home? Did you have a drink last night? You don't need to get personal on some issues. When men fight or have a chat, they'll probably go have a beer and go home happily. Women carry the tail in their head for a long time, carry the hurt maybe. I'm not sure. But I have been carrying such hurts. Very difficult for me to forgive.
Yeah. So I think there is a small bit of delay. Okay, as Madam comes back, the next question that I wanted to put across to Madam was one of the points that Sheryl has raised. Okay, I think she has again a connectivity issue. So the like I was talking to her more from a point of Sheryl talking about, think personally, and act communally. The other point, that I wanted to ask was, whenever women have to negotiate, Sheryl says that very beautifully in her book Lean In. She says, when women sit across a negotiation table, uh, every time they have to legitimize their request for negotiation. So if they say, this is how I want things to be, or this is what I expect things to be, there is always a legitimization that she has to do when it comes to negotiation. Whereas a man can get away with, his behavior or a body language or choice of words, he can get away with anything when he's across a negotiation table. So some of these points, are extremely interesting in Sheryl Sandberg's Lean In, where she very beautifully articulates some of these rare concepts across women proving themselves to when they are in a workplace, and women proving to be successful in a workplace. So it is when you look at that, it's a very interesting concept that she comes up with. That's why she says. So I think, ma'am, there was the line got disconnected again. Madam, you're there? Okay, as she comes in, so she talks about every time how women have to legitimize their request. Women have to make themselves work hard to prove their point, and really do take so much of extra effort to prove what they have to prove, or to explain their point. So Sheryl has beautifully articulated so many very good points, and she says the real change will come when powerful women are less of an exception. It is easy to dislike senior women because there are so few. Okay, and she says if women held 50% of the top jobs, it would just not be possible to dislike that many people. Everyone needs to get more comfortable with female leaders, including female leaders themselves. So, very beautifully, she articulates these points, and she says Sandberg recommends that explaining that a senior colleague encouraged you to go ahead and request a negotiation, during a negotiation process. These things are also, women are expected to do this as well in a negotiation. So it is a difficult scenario, but I have always found that when women are able to prove their point, women are able to do something again from the community perspective, not just for themselves. Like, for example, the kind of things that we've taken up in the manufacturing sector, for example. What are we trying to do? We are trying to touch those women who do not have an opportunity to show what their talents are, their potentials are, in a blue collar job in a manufacturing shop floor. We are trying to help them to get out of their inhibitions, to get out of that lack of opportunity, and help them to see the kind of the big world that is lying ahead of them. And we are helping them to provide those kinds of resources. So that is what, as a group of women, we are trying to do, thinking that not only we are helped, to help other women, but the other women who do not have opportunity also get a platform to prove what they are. So lean in is all about using those opportunities that are provided to you, and sometimes without feeling much ashamed, even go and grab those opportunities. It has to be done that way, because if you have to be a go-getter, and you have to go and grab those opportunities. If you're not doing that, someone else will do. A man would do, or a woman would do. Okay, so lean in, when she published this book about 7-8 years ago, it was like it created a lot of positive ripples, and a woman author trying to bring her bold points to the world. So that's a beauty of this book, and I would like to personally thank Dr. Vasanthi Ranganathan for taking the efforts. I think she has a very, very bad connectivity, and sometimes it happens and it doesn't matter. And I think despite that, she has taken about 30 minutes, 40 minutes. She stayed with us. She's tried to talk about her views on books, how books has helped her personally, She has talked about many nice stories from our own Indian literature, Indian cinema, and also from her personal experience. So I think Madam is coming back. Yeah, she's there, ma'am. I was just about to close, and you just landed in. Hello, ma'am. Ma'am. Hello, ma'am. So I think the sometimes it's like that, right? Because there are so many Zoom calls, there are so many programs going online. Things are bound to happen. It's okay. We are smart women. We know how to manage these things, and that is why we chose the book Lean In to see how well we can make use of these opportunities that are available to us. Thank you, viewers, for staying on with us, and I think you got some insights into Lean In and some things about women negotiating, some things about thinking communally. And uh, thank you very much for staying on. And thanks to all my teammates who have been there and supported this webinar. Thank you so much. And we are coming back with a very interesting edition of Books and All. In the month of September, we're bringing a very interesting personality. So stay on, and we will definitely be communicating to you. We'll be publishing a lot of things around that. And another very interesting thing is our Tamil Nadu chapter. So if we can get Preeti online, we can talk about that. So Srishita, can you just get Preeti on stage? So we are launching our Tamil Nadu manufacturing sector on the 14th of August. And we invite each one of you to be part of our launch. And I'm sure I think she also has some network issues. I think all of Chennai has network issues today. Doesn't matter. I'm here to tell you what it is. So, we are having this very interesting launch. We're getting some real top-notch women from hardcore manufacturing companies. Of course, we have a few men also joining us for the launch. So we have companies that are going to be representing this launch are Caterpillar, Bosch, Indian Oil Corporation, and M Auto. So we request you to be part of our launch, and we request you to continue to provide us that support so we can help a lot more women who are really waiting for us. So thank you for joining in today, and we look forward to meeting you very soon. Bye bye. Take care. And I think when we come back, we'll have better connectivity. Thank you so much. Bye bye.